were not live. We were recording, but now we are live. Now we're live.
Oh, great.
So that was a great warm up.
Good warm up.
Love it.
Okay.
Do you want me to start over?
Yeah, we're gonna start over.
Great. Okay.
Hello, world.
Hello.
There
Congratulations.
were 7 people waiting. We have 7 viewers. Hello. Tell us who you
Hi,
are in
world.
the comments.
Yeah, sure.
Well, welcome. We're doing the Talkback series right now for dreaming of sexual healing, sort of. We've got our director Teo here, several of our actors, and our director Anna, and our writer, and our actors and our editor. Teo, could you tell us once more with feeling?
Let me just succinct this quickly. The inspiration of this came from Anna and Ashley, who wanted to do something on the Zoom platform with actors, and they became very fixated early on in quarantine with the idea of dreams being a central role of it. So in this version, all the characters in one form or another express one of their dreams, as well as a lot of their wants. But that was sort of where all of that came from. And then just to cut to the next part, I was just going to say we did produce this once before. I was so thrilled to have Jamie, our editor, do a sensational job clipping it all together. We re-recorded it a second time with the actors, and I thought that was really fun to see them take a few weeks to think about their roles and how they wanted to deliver lines. And it's been really fun seeing this being redone after we tweaked the script a little bit.
Yeah. And I think it's worth noting it was written at the height of the pandemic.
Oh yeah, it was
when we were all just
early April. I think I penned this the first week of early April.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Jamie, could you speak a little bit to your process of editing? Because I saw the original, I guess, go at the production, and the editing definitely enhances the production and kind of changed some of the characters a little bit. I mean, I thought it was a phenomenal job that you did. I especially loved at the end with the conversation between Elsa and what was Sean's character's name?
Joe
with Joe and the cat. I love that last little bit. Could you talk about your process, your editing?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. First of all, I've never edited a play before, so to speak, so that was a new experience, and it was really fun getting involved in the theater world. And then Zoom brings some unique challenges that I kind of had to learn how to work with as we went.
I love that last little bit. Could you?
Sorry, what's happening?
I think we're just getting some feedback.
Oh yeah, continue. We should be good now.
So yeah, Zoom just presented a few new unique challenges that normal footage doesn't, that we were able to work through. Thank you to Ashley and Teo. They gave me really great feedback, as Anna did. And so I watched the first take, and then I watched the second take, and I just kind of pulled as I was watching my favorite performances, and then I pieced those together. I attempted, one of the issues that I encountered with Zoom was not having the full frame of each line. So it was a lot of just kind of patching things together, trying to keep the continuity. For me, continuity was the most important part between the takes and the delivery of the lines. And then after Anna and Ashley and Teo were able to take a look, we were able to pull their favorite performances and what we thought was the most important and keep continuity in mind. So that was the way I approached it.
It was really interesting to see kind of the blend between like a television film medium and theater. I really enjoyed it. I like that y'all were able to do that with this project. Anna, could you talk a little bit about the challenges and the about using Zoom as a medium and how you're working with these actors and Teo kind of remotely?
Yeah, so this was definitely a very new experience for all of us. For actors, I think it could have been a great experience as working with this stage, and good prep for this new era that we are approaching with self-tapes. But for me, especially, was a little bit like working on a short film, but with a theatrical vibe. And a comedy made it quite easier, I would say, because everything was a little bit bigger and like easily justified for film. However, I think the technical aspects were definitely very challenging. You know, Zoom connection, audio, all these little things that we had to overcome, and obviously Jamie's work that Jamie there already spoke about. I also think that it required definitely more trust towards actors, that they will be partially able to help me to create the stimulating environment to tell the story, as they're all trapped in their own house. That I had no control over, you know, what's around, what are the sounds, you know, everything that is going around. So they had to create that environment. So yeah, that's that.
Thank you. I'd love to hear from Spencer and Christine about how you created these very different characters. Christine, if you could talk a little bit about the inspiration for Elsa, and then Spencer, will come to you and talk about your your extreme character.
Yeah, Elsie was, I mean, just so much fun because she is so much fun all the time. Her life is just one big party and everyone's just living in it in whatever capacity they're allowed to be. But we talked about how she and Dr. Elba are opposite of each other in a lot of ways, but energy-wise specifically, where Dr. Elba is very grounded and factual and present, and Elsie is just in her own world all the time, living these visions and fantasies as she's talking about them, which is really fun because, I mean, again, she lives in her own reality and experiences everything in this completely unique and bizarre way that I loved countering Dr. Elba's energy with.
Great. And Spencer, your character is even a counter to Elsie's character. Yeah.
I think, I mean, there's obviously more to it, but my jumping off point was 4 or 5 years of Catholic school. And I mean, as earnestly as possible, taking little character bits I saw in people, I remember in people, especially I was younger when I did this, so like kids' eyes, and then kind of like just turning it up to 11. A little bit of the repression I kind of probably took from things like Anthony Perkins and Psycho, but, you know, maybe dialing back the mommy issues and channeling it to an evangelical daddy issues, things like that. And then just working with really good words. It makes your job it's so infinitely easier. Yeah, I'd say that was at least the diving board.
I want to add on to that one of the things I really appreciated about what Teo gave us in the script, especially with all of these super bizarre characters, is that they're grounded in these very real human needs that are at the center of what we've all been experiencing and maybe experiencing the lack of during this quarantine. That's all very relatable. Like, these are all characters that have very extreme points of view on the world, but they all want to be loved and have this affection in whatever way, in every way that they need it. And I loved that.
And anytime that you want to see, like, we talk about heightened characters and all that, but anytime you want to see people acting this full, just go to a grocery store. You'll see ridiculous social dynamics.
Yeah, I think that can also be like the subtext of 2020, ridiculous social dynamics. Do you think that Elsie and Joe get together at the at the end? Is there an Elsie
Definitely,
Joe?
At least once.
Once, yeah. That's what I was thinking
more
too.
than that, but she'll do anything once. And I mean, that ending with the editing was such a delight. I had no idea it was going to be pieced together like that, but just like with the credits and the the upbeat, goofy music. That was such a great surprise at the end. I had no idea it was going to be like that. But Jamie, kudos to you. That was great.
Yeah, it was really, really, really enjoyable. Ashley, you kind of had to, character-wise direct this circus of like visitors. Where did you get your inspiration for Dr. Elba?
I mean, it really came from the page, and like you said, in comedy, you kind of look at like, extremes, but I think Elba she's a straight man. So what I discovered was a lot of it was just really just listening and practicing listening and then reacting to what the actors gave me, which was a lot. So it was really, it was hard sometimes to hold my face. Jamie might have saved me on a couple edits when I cracked. Though it's funny, I came across a therapist in my pandemic, not one that I was going to, I just met one in my travels. And it was funny because I could tell from like her that she was probably this really great therapist, but like at the same time, I was like, oh, she's going through the pandemic too, baby. Like who's giving, like, no one's listening to the therapist. And because it was a little like, oh, how do I play this balance of like, am I this terrible therapist that's like drinking scotch during a session? Like, what's that about? But it's obviously it comes out of the circumstance, and it's an unusual time, so people do unusual things, and hey.
Yeah, it resonates with me that you say, who's taking care of the therapist. And it's kind of like everyone is trying to be professional. I love the scene where you're, telling Elsie, that would not be professional, but yet here we all are in our homes, trying to do these professional things, and you're seeing, sides of people that you wouldn't necessarily see. Did you, Teo, have any challenges writing this, being confined in your LA apartment, or did you derive complete inspiration from the situation?
I'm really grateful for the notes that I got back after the first time we did it, both from the cast and from the people who watched it. I would just preface this by saying that it was meant to be a comedy, because I think we all need a little bit of levity these days. I think Ashley's character, all of them are meant to be mild extremes, but I think Ashley's character is probably not doing full justice to therapists. I'm sure there are therapists out there who are dealing with dozens of clients a day who are doing
rocking it,
wonderful jobs. But I felt like in order to add a little more drama, shall we say, to the whole thing, to give her just a little more breaking point with her clients was going to make the whole thing gel together a little better. Right. No, comedy is not, honestly, it's not really my forte. So I'm really grateful to the actors, and again to Jamie and Anna, because I think they made a lot of these performances pop, and I was laughing this time just going through this new edition of it, and I thought it was fabulous. And I think a lot of that credit is not to the jokes that I put on the page, but to the way that Jamie stitched together these actors' renditions of these characters. Especially, a lot of the actors were they pulled through and they tried to make my jokes work. I also appreciate Martin and Joe, who went a little off page and definitely threw some extra stuff in there.
Kept us on our toes, which is good. And it adds to the live element. Part of the excitement of the live element was we have this script, but then knowing at any moment there could be these deviations, and also that we talked about it in the last Q&A when we did the initial workshop, but that slight nanosecond longer that Zoom takes, and then also having the improv, it kept things interesting.
Yeah, it really felt like a hybrid art form because if we were really doing this as a film, what we would have done is that we would have shot each of the actors individually saying their lines in speaker view, you know, and then had some wide, you do so many different takes, you have so much coverage, but we really, I mean, we did, Jamie, again, she did a great job of editing, but it was us playing this weird line between film acting, but also, you know, performing it live, you know, just running it through like 2 or 3 times.
Right, and you don't have a lot of variety in terms of different shots. Like it'd be fun to see Martin going out into the woods and then coming back into, you know, Calabasas or whatever he was doing. So the actors are really sort of constrained by having to be directly on camera the entire time, which I think is challenging. And, you know, internet it gets spicy and audio gets spicy. So I think the whole way it stitched together, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Chris, I don't know if you saw, there's some great comments coming in on the YouTube chat, and people have some questions as well.
Well, I can't get onto the YouTube right now, so pick out a question.
Okay.
Yeah,
no.
tell me what they are.
Well, Nikki has a few questions. I don't know. He says, so will we see some theatrical arts at a national political convention? Maybe, but it probably won't be this show. And then, yeah, Karen, I think we already talked about, she asked about how the rehearsal process went, and did y'all find you had to rethink how you would normally create characters or direct due to this format? And yeah,
it was very interesting from an acting perspective, and I found this more so the second time through, like walking the line between it being a play but doing it over the film format, and then knowing that it does have to be edited when we were doing it the second time, and like thinking, oh, this is like too theatrical feeling of a movement, but it's a play technically, but it's over Zoom. Like it was genre wise, it was such an interesting place to land in, and we kind of got to create what that was for ourselves. But that, yeah, Ashley, something you said earlier, like made that stick out to me as something that was a very unique challenge of a play written for Zoom that we recorded and then edited together for a filmed production. Like it's almost every piece of production that it can be put into one hybrid. It's a very cool experience.
I think about approaching the character though, it was very similar to what we would normally do because it was written in a traditional manner. We had to take that and adapt it to the medium. So I wouldn't say it changed. I guess Christine answered it a lot better than this, but essentially I would approach the character the same way, but then managing the medium would be the trick, I think, within the character that you find from the page, from what Theo's kind of laid out.
Yeah, I think that is a really good answer,
Yeah.
actually.
And with directing, I guess Ashley and Theo and Jamie already kind of compare that when you're doing a short film, you basically have all these takes and all these variety of different shots that you can kind of juggle and create something fun. And here we had a limited versions, and they were obviously great, but presented challenges when editing.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other questions that came in, or
yeah, someone wants to know, and are any of y'all still having bizarre dreams? Does anyone want to share their bizarre dreams?
I've got a 1.5-year-old, so I've had some really weird dreams about the Wiggles.
Oh,
I'll just leave it at that.
You say whales?
Wiggles.
It's like a Australian kids, very colorful, very musical band thing.
Oh my God. I don't know if they qualify as a band.
I have had like
up to you.
I have had a lot of disaster dreams, you know, like or when I was in California, there was an earthquake. So literally I had a dream about earthquakes and yeah, things falling, but then I woke up and it was true.
That was real. Well, we are at the past the 20-minute mark, and I know we don't want to go too long, but Ashley and Teo, Anna, could you all weigh in about, what is Space UK, and is there a theme for these projects this summer? What other things are you watching?
Yeah, so whoever is maybe a lot of people are here because of us, but if you're so you might not know, but if it wasn't clear before, we're part of a festival. That's why we brought this together again. It's called Online at the Space UK, but the Space UK is a venue at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which Teo and I were supposed to take his other show that I perform in, and he wrote. We were supposed to have our Edinburgh Fringe Festival debut in Scotland this year, and that did not happen for anyone. And it's a big deal. I mean, there's just thousands of shows and acts that come from all over the world, and there's people who do at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival every year, and it did not happen. And so we were supposed to perform at the Space UK. Obviously they canceled it, but then they jumped to, and they put together this great virtual version of their version of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So the theme is 3 weeks, 80 shows, all written and produced in lockdown. So it's all original work that came out of the pandemic. Artists, we go.
Well, no, and then you should speak a little bit. Ashley's watched and supported a lot of these shows. I think it's also interesting right now. First of all, there are a lot of articles about Edinburgh, and hopefully that festival comes back in full force once there's a vaccine. But at the same time, there's a lot of discussion about writers and in Hollywood right now of how much you focus and hone in on the pandemic, because obviously everybody is dealing with this at the same time. And then it's also a question of how much you want to reiterate and hammer that in, as opposed to try and focus on other topics, other themes, other plots. There's people already know where we are. So it's, in some ways, I think comedy is really important right now while we're all still kind of trailing along and figuring out how to get back.
Yeah,
I don't know where you are right now.
Well,
I
was pulling up the site. I definitely encourage. Actually, I'll post the link. I definitely encourage everyone. There's 1 week left, so you can go to online.thespaceuk.com. Click on watch shows. Click on the theater. There's a bunch of links. There's spoken word, poetry, dance, comedy, like stand up. There's a show about, I think it's got a weird title, like just a man standing in a park in a gorilla suit. And literally that's all the show is. Like I read a review of it, and the reviewer was like, yeah, well, the title was not lying. But then there's a lot of, solo shows.
I love honest advertising.
Yeah, everyone does, really. And Kristen's sister, Karen, wrote a show, Karen Linton, called Front Window, that Owl and Pussycat also produced. So please check that out. And there's a ton of other great shows. I just watched Pamela Drysdale's Lockdown today, from a company called Three Chairs and a Hat. And then also every Saturday there was something called Online at the Space UK live show. And those are still up on the site. And you can see like 3 shows in a row that were all done live, with like live audience interaction. Those were really good. So let me post that link in the,
Yeah, it's been nice to watch everyone be creative and be funny. I think, Teo, you're absolutely right. Laughter is what we all need right now. And when everyone laughs together, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. I think it raises our frequency a little bit to be able to live on this planet together, and whatever we can do to get along and create and have fun, I think is really important. And you all did that. I laughed really loudly today watching this, and you all contributed to that. I'm sure lots of other people are laughing wherever they are. So thank you so much for making us smile and think a little bit about our place in this world. Thanks for joining us, everyone. You're
Yes,
so
thank you.
welcome.
And if you enjoyed the show, I mean, please, share it, post
Spam
it. Yeah, be spam. Fine.
Just go ahead.
Yeah, tell the world, and go check out the other great online
Absolutely.
shows.
Well, great job, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. Thanks for staying up so late, Anna, all of our European friends all across the globe.
My pleasure. It was so fun.
So fun.
And thank you for staying up so late, Anna. And to you people in LA, hope you have a pleasant Sunday evening.
And to everyone that tuned in.
Yes, thank you.
Hearts.
Okay.
Hearts. Bye.